This conference will now.
Okay, so any doubts before we start? Okay, I'll take silence as no. Did we create workflows yesterday? Yes, right?
Yes, sir.
You have created a couple of workflows. Okay, and we need to trigger those workflows now. Okay, so today we'll discuss about the business rules, and maybe after today and tomorrow, probably on Friday, we'll be discussing on the workflow of business rules. Because to trigger a workflow, we need to execute the business rules, and you should have knowledge on the business rules. So first, we'll discuss about business rules, and then we'll move to workflows. Okay. Now, what are business rules? Business rules are ways to implement logic in the system. So any process, if you want to implement some logic, you can use or you can configure business rules. The common scenarios where we use business rules are, first one is your defaulting the fields. If you want to default any of the fields on the employee profile, or it could be on the MDF objects, we use the business rules. Okay, to default the fields, to propagate the fields, propagate meaning updating the fields from other object. Now here default is to set some value on the blank fields, and propagate mean now the field values exist in one of the object and will be transferring that data from one object to the other object. That is your propagation. And then we can use business rules to calculate field values or calculate to do some calculations. We use business rules for validations, any kind of validation. System doesn't have any standard validations. Now, couple of places we have, but now if you want to have the validations in any portlet, like let's say in the personal information, if you want to validate the data between gender and salutation, or gender and your marital status, married since fields. Now there if you want to apply some validations and you want error or the warning message to be populated, you can write a validation rules. And we can use business rules for triggering the workflows. What logic, when do you want a workflow to be triggered? Now we have created this workflow, but when do you want this workflow to be triggered? So while creating the workflow, we don't have any option to tell the system that this should be executed on transfer, or this should be not done when you change some data. No, we don't have that option here. So we'll be writing business rules to execute the workflows. We can use business rules to set the alerts. If you want to send some alerts to the employees, alerts and notifications, you can use the business rule. These are some of the common scenarios where we write a business rules. And these business rules can be configured either for the employee files or employee fields, employee level fields, or it can also be done on the MDF objects. So we can configure business rules to update employee fields or also to update MDF object. In MDF object, the examples could be your propagating the data, or generating the code of the object, or to fetch the details, or to update the details. You can use the business rules here. Okay, while configuring the business rule, the very important thing that we need to know is the base object. So every business rule that you write, you need to select the base object. And what is this base object? Depending on the rule that you're writing, okay, like if you want to write a business rule to update some information in personal information, so personal information will be your base object. You want to write a business rule to make some updates in the job information, then your base object should be job information. You want to update some fields in the position object, then the base object should be the position. So whatever on whichever object you want to write a business rule, that should be your base object. And the business rules can be configured using configure business rules. We use configure business rules to write a business rule. And the business rules always follow a syntax of if and then. If and then. If this happens, then update this field. If this field is no blank, then give some warning. So always it is between if and then. Sometimes you may want to execute without any if condition. Directly you want to have the then condition. You want to update some field without any conditions. Then in that case you can have always true. Instead of if, you select here always true. If you don't select always true, then you need to select the if condition. Now sometimes you may have to check multiple conditions within if you want to check multiple conditions, then you need to choose logical conditions or end. Either or end. Let's say I have two conditions. I want to check two different conditions. Then what is the logical expression that you want to use? Logical condition that you want to use? Either or end. Or means one of them has to be satisfied. End means both of them has to be satisfied. So we will be using the logical conditions or end. And if you want to update fields, multiple fields or multiple scenarios are to be validated, then you can use else if or else. You can also use else if and else. Else if meaning if this condition is not passed, I want to check one more condition. So else if this condition, then set this value. So you can keep on adding any number of else if conditions. At the last, if none of these conditions are passed, then you want to execute something. So you say else there. So these are the things which you will be using in the business rules. So we'll be starting with a simple business rules. We'll see how to update some of the fields on the employee data, simple business rules, and then we'll move on to workflow business rules. Okay. So first business rule that we are going to write will be on personal information or on some of the employee files. Now let me go to Wipro. Let me go to Wipro Lakshman. Simple. Let's go to personal information here. On the personal information, we have these fields blank: attachment, marital status, gender, preferred name, suffix, salutation, middle name, and so on. Okay. Now I want to write a business rule on one of these fields. I want to update some field values. I have two more fields. Okay. What is this test? Okay. There are some values here. Kerala, Tamil Nadu. Okay. That's fine. Now, whenever you have a middle name, I want that middle name to be updated in maybe preferred name. You have preferred name. Okay. So if you have middle name, I want that middle name to be updated in preferred name as well. I don't want user to update the preferred name separately. Whatever value that you have in the middle name, I want that middle name to be updated in preferred name. Okay. This is just defaulting the field. Okay. So both of them are text fields. Okay. I want to update this field with the value that we have on the middle name. So if you go check the condition, if middle name has got some value, if middle name has some value, then set preferred name to be equal to middle name. Now this is the condition that we'll be writing. Whenever you have a middle name, now sometimes you don't have the middle name. So in that case, I don't want preferred name to be updated. So only when you have middle name, I want that middle name to be updated in the preferred name as well. Okay, so this is a simple default condition. So let me go to business rules. Just cancel it, duplicate. Configure business rule. Go to configure business rule. Now these are all the existing rules in the system. If you want to modify them, you can just go click on it and then modify. Or if you want to write your own business rule, you can go just click on add business rule. Click on add business rule. Now scroll down. These are the scenarios. These are the various scenarios that we can use to write business rules. Now business rules can be configured for any of these modules. It can be for recruiting, performance, or employee central, or it can be for any module. Okay, so depending on the module, now we have here employee central core. So depending on the module, again, you have different options. Now, what do you want to write the business rule for within employee central? It can be for rule, it can be for hire or rehire, it can be for event driven derivation or workflows or validation. So you can select any of these options. Or now these are all the options that SuccessFactors have included into the system in the recent times. Earlier we didn't have these many scenarios. We used to write all the business rules under basic. Now also we can do the same thing. If you want, you can just go simply select basic and write any kind of business rule that you want to have. Okay, so let me go to basic. Rule name. What is the rule name that you want to give? I want to have my business rule name as WIP001. Okay, rule name and rule ID. So rule ID gets defaulted from the rule name, whatever you give. I will give some. A rule type can be left blank. Rule type comes from the pick list. Whatever pick list values that you have configured for the rule type, it shows up here. Now you can also select or you can leave it blank. Now, what is this business rule for? To default some fields or to validate or to workflow, you can choose one of the rule type. Okay, you can also leave it blank. Now, for EC rules, you don't have to select the rule type. Okay, now just go to description, default preferred name in personal information. Okay, this business rule is to default default preferred name in personal information. Base object is very important. What is the base object? You'll find all the generic objects and the employee objects here. These are all the objects. So I want to select my object here as personal information. You go select personal information and then continue. Now you see here, you have basic information which we have already filled, and then parameters, if and then conditions. So we have to write if and then conditions. Now what is my if condition here? Here somewhere I've written the condition. If middle name has got some value. Some value, what do you mean by some value? Now it can be anything. Some will have Singh, some will have Kumar, some will have well, it can be anything. Okay, so whatever value you have in the middle name, that is to be updated in the preferred name. Now it is very difficult to check whether you have some value or not. So what you can do is, instead of checking if system has got some value, you can check whether middle name is blank or not. If it is not blank, that means it has got some value. Okay, so we can write a condition saying if it is not equal to blank. Here we want to check if it is equal to some value. Instead of equal to, we can say not equal to blank, and this blank is called null in business rules. It is called null in business rule. Now let me go to business rule. If, because you have selected the personal information as a base object, you will find all the fields related to personal information in the dropdown. You don't have to write everything here. You can just simply go select whatever values that comes in the dropdown. Now click on the dropdown. Because I have selected the base object as personal information, I see all of these fields. I see all of these fields. Now I want to check the condition of middle name, right? So you have middle name here. Now once you select the middle name, because middle name is a text field, it is showing a text and this one. Now if you want to check on some text, like if the value is Kumar, if you want to check the condition like the text should be Kumar, then you can write the text. If it is a pick list value like gender, you go select the gender. Now it is gender. You will find the values here, all the values of the gender. So depending on the field that you are selecting, system will show up the conditions. Now I want to check middle name. Middle name is equal to text. You have options is equal to and is not equal to. Now I don't want to check with some text because it can be any text. Now somebody will enter only one letter, somebody will enter four letters or five letters or maybe 10 letters or 15 letters. I don't know what users would be maintaining. So instead of equal to, I'll go select not equal to. And instead of text, you have null value here. Go select null at the bottom. Just select null. Now, once your condition is done, you just go click on the eye icon. And if you want to edit, you can go click on pencil icon. Now, what does it say? Personal information, middle name is not equal to null. That means it has got some value. And I want that some value to be updated in the preferred name. So that I will have to add it in the then condition. Okay, so I'll go here, edit, set. Give me 1 minute. Yeah. Now we need to set the condition. What is that condition now? Personal information. Again, you have options here to set the field value, to raise a message. If you are validating something and you want an error message to be populated, you'll have to go and select raise message. If you want to create a record, then go select create. If you want to delete a record, you can select delete. If you want to add to the existing data, you can also select add to. Or if you want to execute something, then you go and select execute. Okay. Now in this case, I want to set the field value. What is the field value that you want to set? Set the field value preferred name field value. Okay. Now you select, when you select preferred name, to be equal to text, and then you have text here. Now instead of text, I want middle name to be updated here. So go select here middle name and say done and save this one. Now as per my business rule, for every employee, if you have a middle name, if you have some value in the middle name, that some value will be updated in the preferred name as well. And when will this happen? Just because we have a business rule, system will not go and update for every employee with the preferred name. No, you will have to do some action to update that. And every business rule that you write, you need to assign that to the assign it to the object. Whatever base object that you have chosen, you need to assign the base object. You need to assign the business rule to that base object. Now, when you select the employee block as a base object, like personal information, job information, address information, and so on, since these objects are defined in succession data model or in manage business succession data model or manage business configuration. So you can go assign your business rule in one of these sections, either in the succession data model or manage business configuration. Similarly, if it is a MDF object, where do we define MDF object? MDF object are defined in configure object definition. So if you have written a business rule, sorry, I will just move it here. If it is a MDF object, then it should be assigned in configure object definition. If it is on the employee portlet, then you need to either add it in the succession data model or in the manage business configuration. So let me go back to manage business configuration. I'll keep the screen as it is. Duplicate. Now go to your manage business configuration. Go to manage business configuration. And then select your object, personal information. Click on personal information. Because we have written our business rule on personal information. So that's why I'm going to personal information. If it is on comp, you can go to comp information. If it is job, you can go to job information. And at the end, you have the trigger rule section. At every portlet, you have this trigger rule section. Okay. Under trigger rules, you see here base object. What is my base object? Personal information. See, the last business rule, there is no business rule. So let me add my business rule here. Base object, you have personal information. And the event type. Now you need to select event type for each of these objects. What are the event types? First one is on save. That means if you want your business rule to be triggered on save of personal information portlet, that means you go change some data on the personal information of employee, click on save, then system executes that business rule in the backend. So on save of the portlet. On init means as soon as you open the portlet, that is on init. On view means every time you go just view the data, it updates. Now on view generally will not be using. You will be using cases where you want to have the data updated on view, but the backend data will not be stored, like your date of birth and age. You go to biographical information, every day you see system shows you the updated date. Today if you go, it will show as on date age. Tomorrow you open, it will show tomorrow's age. So that is on view, not on save. Okay. So we have save alerts. If you are writing a business rule on the alerts, so you can select save alert. And the last option that we have is on post save. After having all of the data updated, like if you want a business rule to be updated after the workflow is processed, in that case you can say on post save. So most of the business rule that we write will be mostly on the on save. And in this case, I want my business rule to be executed on save of the portlet. So I'll select on save. And my business rule is WIP001. So you'll find your business rule. You'll find all the business rules that are associated with personal information object. Only the business rules which are configured using the personal information as the base object will show up here and say save. Now I have added my business rule to personal information block, and the event type that I have selected is on save. That means every time you go save the personal information, system will go find what is the value that we have in the middle name. Then if you have that value, system will go update that value in the preferred name. If it is blank, it won't update. Now my business rule is updated, assigned on the manage business configuration. Go to people profile, edit, type something here. Okay, and say save. Now preferred name is blank. You save the personal information. When you save the personal information, system will read if there are any business rules. Now you see the preferred name got updated to Kumar. It is updated to whatever value that you have. Now if I change the value here and say save. Again, every time you save the record, system will read what is the value that you have in the middle name and it updates in the preferred name. Okay, clear on the first business rule. Now sometimes you may want this preferred name to be updated immediately when you change the middle name, instead of going and saving the record as soon now, because people may enter some middle name here and preferred name also separately. Now people may enter the preferred name also separately. No, I don't want that to happen. I don't want user to enter the preferred name. I want system to update preferred name. So in that case, you can also assign the same business rule on the field. Now here we have added business rule at the portlet level on save of portlet. Instead of having the business rule on save of portlet, you can have it change of a particular field. Okay, That means you can add the business rule on the field as well. You go here, take action, make correction. You have middle name here. You go to middle name details, scroll down to the end, you have trigger rule section. And here event type will only be the on change. If it is at the field level, then it is only on change. On change, I want my business rule to trigger. WIP 001. Done and save. Now what happens is, every time you go, change the middle name. If it is blank, you add some data that will get updated. You have some value, you go maintain some other value that will be updated. Now come here. So let me cancel it and come back. I go here, edit. Instead of Singh, I will change it to Kumar. Now we see here, it is updated here. So any value that you give, it gets updated as soon as you change the field value, because we have our business rule on middle name field. Now this can be applied if it is on the on save. So business rule will be triggered on save of the portlet. If it is on the field, then as soon as you change the field value, system will update the record here. Clear? Any doubts here?
Clear. Can we have one more example like this with a different condition?
Okay. So with a different condition, let's go to job information.
No, in the same field.
In the personal information itself.
In the personal information.
What do you want to have?
With the same example, if I want all the three, first name, last name, and middle name to be printed in the preferred name.
Preferred name.
Then, like concatenation.
Yeah, you need to add the function here. It is too early, but because you're asking, I'm showing you.
Okay.
Make correction. Instead of having the then condition, then here to just middle name, just go to be equal to, you have something called concatenate.
Okay. Concatenate is 0.
Okay. Concatenate your first name, middle name, and then add one more, your last name. And that, this one.
Where did we get this concatenate string? I did not able.
Here, concatenate. After
From last
context,
column.
we have concatenate.
Okay. And target field, preferred name is equal to be equal to concatenate.
Equal to concatenate these three fields.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Any doubts on the first business rule?
Hello, Venu.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, hi, Venu. I don't have doubt on this, but you wanted to show something on the job information. Like, I would like to see that as well.
Okay. So same thing. Now I have written a business rule in the personal information. Now you want to add a business rule in job information. The field, you want to update some field in the job information. So go and check what values you want to have. And this time we'll try to take, instead of a text value, we'll take a drop down value. We have employment type here. Okay. So employment type, I will say here, what are the values? So you have management, you have contractors and so on. Okay, so that's fine. I'll write it on the pay grade. Okay, if it is on the P1, so here the employment type should be salaried senior volunteers. Okay, let's say I want to update it to hourly rate. Okay, or hourly rate trainee. Okay, and if it is associate, if it is execute P2, then I want it to be management. Okay, and if it is P3, I want to have it as senior staff. Okay, this value to be updated. So let me write it down here. If it is the pay grade is P1, P2, P3. Okay, if it is P1, I want, what is this? Employment type. P1 is hourly rate training, and then this one management or salaried here, and P3 it is management. Okay, so whatever values that we have, we can select there. Okay, now configure business rule, same thing. You go create a new rule, select basic, rule name WIP 002, update.
When this time shall we
Employee
go through
type.
employee central core? Can we go through, or else?
Yeah, same thing. Whatever it is, job information there. See, in the basic, you can select anything. You can write any kind of rule. It could be validate, it could be default, it could be generation of the code, or it could anything can be done from the basic. Now since I've been working from long time, earlier we didn't had all of these options. Okay, we are using basic, so I'm more comfortable. So I always go to basic and then write. Now the same thing you can also write. You can also select from the employees, because every release they are adding some new scenarios into these things. Okay, so you may not find the same exact like defaulting here. You may not find the exact defaulting or to update the field, something like that. So that's why you go to base, you go to basic. You can write any kind of rule. You don't have to search what is the rule that I want to write. Like, is it a validation? No, it is not validation. It is to actually update the data. So do we have update? No, we don't have. So again, you have to go back to basic. Okay.
Okay.
Continue. Yeah, we'll see when you take workflows or validations. We'll see. What is the condition? First condition, if pay grade is equal to job information, pay grade value is equal to, so you have here drop down, pay grade value is P1. If it is P1, then my set employment type field, employment type is equal to, now it is a drop down. Earlier we have selected is equal to, because that was a text. We have selected not equal to and then null. Now in this case, we want to check whether if it is a P1, then I want this value to be updated. What is that value? This one. Else if it is not P1, then go to this condition. So I'll copy this. You can copy conditions. Okay, just say paste. Instead of P1, select P2. Okay, now this one also I will copy. I'll paste it here. Here instead of hourly rate, I'll say salaried. From the drop down, salaried. Okay, if not, again copy, paste. Let's see, say P3. If it is P3, then copy this, copy, paste. Instead of salaried stuff, I want management. Okay, so you can write any number of conditions. Otherwise, let's say add else. Add else means there is no if condition. Always set this value. Paste, instead of salaried stuff, you select management. Sorry, management is already there. So I'll be selecting something senior stuff. Okay, save. Now, as per this business rule, if it is P1, it should update to this value. If it is P2, it should update this value. If it is P3, it should update management. If it is not any of these values, P1, P2, P3, then it should go and update senior staff to update to senior staff. Okay. Now this business rule is to be assigned on the job information portlet. Go to job information. And then scroll down, job information, on save of the portlet. I want WIP 002 business rule to be executed. Yes. Okay. Now this is saved. I go to job information, edit. So what is the value that we have? P2. Okay. So I'll just update working days per week as 5 and full-time employee. Yes. Go and save. Now I have not updated any employment type. Employment type is blank. Scroll down and see now employment type is updated to salaried staff because the value here is P2. System has picked up the salaried staff from the drop down. Okay. Clear?
Yes, Venu.
Okay.
So Venu, if
So
you
that
want
is
to make it to a field level, so in that case we can add this rule on change. We want it to trigger on change. So in pay grade, we can we'll put it there, right? And trigger under trigger rule on change. We'll
yes.
okay.
Okay.
Yes, Venu.
Okay. So that is to default the data. Next, we'll see how to write a business rule to validate the data. Now, in the personal information, go to personal information, edit. Okay. So here we have gender, male, and salutation, select miss. Save it. So it saves the record. Is this correct? You have gender as male. User has selected the salutation as miss. This is not correct. Right. So system should not allow me to have this combination, male and miss. It should be Mr. It should not be miss. If it is male, it should be miss. Now I don't know whether miss is wrong or male is wrong. Right. Maybe user has selected this gender as by mistake they have selected male instead of female. Then this is correct. Salutation is correct, but gender is not correct. No, user has selected gender correctly, but not salutation. In that case, you have to validate the data first. Now, before every time user updates the data, I want system to check whether this condition, whether user is updating the correct value or not. Now, what should be the condition? How to check? If, give me the condition. If gender is equal to male. Yes or no?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I have to check here one more condition. What is that? If salutation is equal to miss, then I want the error message. So if you have multiple conditions, use the logical expression either or and salutation is equal to miss. Then I want error message. What error message you want to have? Then raise message. What message you want to have? So you need to write a message. What is that message? Whatever that you want to have. Please check the combination of gender and salutation. I'll have it as common thing so that it can be gender or it can be salutation. Whatever is the wrong value, the user will check the fields. Okay, please check the combination of gender and salutation. I want this to be the message that I want to populate when user tries to save the record with these values. So all of these messages can be written, can be configured under manage data. You go to manage data. Go to manage data, and the messages can be written on message definition. Okay, text. I want this text. Salutation. Spelling is not correct. Okay, this is the text. What is the external code? Wipro personal message. Okay, Wipro message. Status is active. So first we'll go with the simple message and see. Let's go save. Don't have to add any parameters. Okay, now this message is to be populated whenever user tries to save the record with gender is equal to male and salutation is equal to miss. Now you go to configure business rule. Create new rule. Now you go to Employee Central. Let's see if validation. Okay. WIP 003. Validate gender and salutation. Okay. Base object is personal information. Let's see, here it is only giving personal information model. See, that's the problem. We'll go to personal information. I'll tell you for personal information model where we use. Okay, rule name WIP 003. Default. Sorry, validate. Validate gender and salutation. Okay, the base object should be here. Personal information. This one. Continue. Okay, now what is my first condition? If personal information gender is equal to, gender is a drop down pick list value, so got all the values here. If gender is equal to male. Now I have to write one more condition, which is salutation is equal to miss, and the logical condition to be end. So if you want to add more conditions, click on the drop down, add expression, or you can choose or and end logical condition. Or if you directly go add expression, system will ask you whether you want to use or end. I want to use end. Now both of these conditions are tagged. So personal information salutation is equal to miss. If it is miss, then I want error message. Raise message. What is the message that you want to have? Wipro message. This one. Because when you select message, it shows up the text here. This is the text. Severity, we have options. Error, information, warning. Error will not allow you to save the record. Information will just give you information. It saves the record, and after saving the record, it gives you the information. Warning will give you option whether to save or to proceed, whether to save the record or to correct the record. Okay, so first let's see with error. We'll see all of these three. What is each of the error, warning, and information. Now let's go to employee profile, edit. Sorry, we have to add it in the personal information portal at first. Go add it in the personal information. At the end, personal information on save, I want 003 here, save. Okay, now my business rule is saved. Let's go to this one again. Just edit the data. Okay, now I'll leave this as it is. Gender is equal to male, salutation is equal to miss. Okay, any of this will also get updated. Preferred name. If you have to save, so you need to make some change. So I'm just removing the preferred name so that system will update preferred name and also the salutation. Now just click on save. It gives you error message. Please check the combination of gender and salutation. Whatever message that you have written, it is now error. It won't allow you to save. Every time you save the record, if it has got this value, it will go and give you the error message. Always will check male and salutation miss. Now, if it is instead of miss, I'll select misses. Save. Now this is saved because I'm not checking this condition. I'm not checking this condition. I'm checking a condition where gender is equal to male and salutation is equal to miss. Only if it is miss, it gives you error message. Clear? Now I want to include this one also. So go configure business rule, add, copy, paste afterwards. Sorry. Copy this one, delete, paste after. I'll select. I have one more value. You can have one more condition. Now is this correct? Yes or no?
Venu, it should be or, right? Either miss or misses or miss. Like it cannot be and.
It is or. Is this correct now?
No.
This is not correct. So it should be and here and or only for these three conditions. Yeah. Okay, so add parent or here. And you can drag and drop your conditions into this.
Okay.
Now this is correct. Now if it is checking for the gender male and one of these values. Save. Okay, now you go try to save the record with this value. Save. Please check the combination of gender and salutation. So any value that you select now, it gives you error message. It won't allow you. If it is Mr., then it allows. Now if it is female and Mr., now I don't have this condition. This condition is not there. You go save, it gets saved. Why is it giving message? Well, there must be some business rule. Somebody must have already configured that. Now we go here. You go here now and try to save. It saves. It is female and Mr. This is not correct because we don't have this condition here. So if you want to have the condition there, then you need to go add else if. Now, instead of checking these three conditions, you can only check one condition. Just say delete, add expression. If salutation, you only have one value there, is not equal to Mr. Okay. If it is not equal to Mr., then this error message. The same thing, I'll just copy. Both of them are same. Earlier, in that case, I was checking all the three values, Miss, Mrs. and so on. But here, I'm checking if it is not equal to Mr., then give me error message. But because for male, it is only Mr. Now, I'll just add this condition. Here, instead of male, I'll select female. Instead of not equal to, I'll say equal to. Copy, paste. And instead of error, I'll just select here warning. Now you have two conditions here. One is gender male and salutation not equal to Mr., then it should be error message. Gender female and salutation is equal to Mr. Gender female and salutation is equal to Mr., then it is a warning message. Now go back to your business rule. Edit. Okay. Now just save it. Just if it is Mr., just save it. Now you'll get warning message. It is not error, it is warning. What does it say? Please check the combination of gender and salutation. Either you can proceed with this change or you can correct the record. If it is proceed, it saves the record. If it is correct, it asks you to change the data. Now again, if you don't change the data, again try to save it, it gives you error message. Now, this also works. Male, if it is not Mr., if it is again anything, it gives you error message here. This is error. So you don't have correct and proceed option. It is only error. So you can just close it and correct it. Clear?
Yeah, okay.
Any doubts here?
And
Now
like
let's
conditions,
see
we
on
can
the
write any
information
number.
also. Any number of conditions, yes. Okay. Instead of warning, if you say information, just see these as well. Okay. Save it.
It can be like
Now
this
this is
also.
information. Now if it is information, you go female and Mr. When you save the record, see here, please check the combination of gender and salutation. You have the message here. Okay, this is information. It saves the record. It gives him information here. It's gone. Okay. So error will not allow you to save the record. Warning will give you option to correct or proceed the record. Information will save the record and just give you the information.
Condition can be like this also. Like whenever we select salutation as Mr. or Miss, gender should be updated as male or female.
Yes. Now that is to default. Now you can default the value. If user is selecting gender, then default the value to Mr. Again, for female, you cannot have you cannot set the default value. There you need to check two conditions. If it is female and marital status is equal to married, then update the female, update the salutation value to Mrs. Or if it is single, marital status is single, then update the value to Miss.
No, if we take salutation in if condition and gender to the then condition, in that case, we can write only one condition.
I didn't get you. What is that? If what do you want to have?
If salutation is equal to
Mr.
Mr.
Then
and
what do you want to do?
Then here the gender, set gender to male.
And this is to default the value. This is to default the value, because now in that case you have to move the field salutation up and then the gender down.
Is it possible, like to moving up and down?
Yes, we can. Okay.
Yeah.
So can we have some business rules now configured for tomorrow's session? Default
like 3-4 classes we are behind actually practicing.
Now we'll go on. So to business rules you have to practice on the same day. Workflows, business rules. Yeah, tomorrow we'll see some other, maybe other business rules, and then we'll move on to workflow business rule. Okay. Okay then. So we'll stop it here for today, and we'll continue tomorrow with some more examples of business rules. So there is no limit, like you can write any business rule. Conditions can be anything. We just come up with condition, we can write a business rule. Okay.
Okay, Venu.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Venu.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Thanks.
We see Swarna. Swarna, good evening. How are you?
Wait, Papa. Good evening, Venu sir. Good, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I think you missed this session in the morning, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Please go through the recording. I think you have missed the first few minutes, 5 minutes or so. Okay. You can go through the recording, and yeah, you can come back with your doubts if you have any.
Sure, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.